Good evening, and welcome to True Blue Designs Presents The Inside Perspective. I am your host, Tina Dawson, and I thank you for taking time out to tune in to tonight's show. Now, before we get started, I want to talk about some current events that were shown on the news today, this week. First, I would like to talk about President Biden honored the 500,000 plus people that have died due to the pandemic. And that number represents individual people, and more than that have actually been affected because those people had families. And on behalf of me and my team, we would just like to say that our prayers go out to you and your family if you've been affected. If there are any licensed professionals, coaches, therapists that are watching this show, please put your information in the comment section. And if you are someone that is suffering, please feel free to just reach out to them and get help. And again, you're in our prayers. The second thing I want to discuss is what's going on in Texas. There have been millions of people without electricity and water. My son is stationed in Texas, and he called me and said he was without water. I asked him how he was getting by, and he said he was boiling snow to produce drinking water and bathing water. It's absolutely horrible what's going on. People have died and people are without shelter. And I just want to encourage everyone that if you have an opportunity to give to different resources that are collecting perishable items to go to Texas, please do so. And again, please, if you are a licensed therapist, counselor, put your information in the comments. This show is to be a resource to people, and there are people in need. Now, there's one more thing I want to say about the Texas situation. If you don't have people in Texas, everyone knows someone in Texas. And the reason why I say this, because just about all of you are on social media, and somebody that's in Texas comes through your social media news feed. Take time out to stop and give them an encouraging word, okay? And my prayers, our prayers of our team are with everyone that's in Texas. The third thing is Tiger Woods. As everyone knows, he had a major car accident yesterday morning. And I was reading, that was my napkin. I was reading the New York Times, and it said that his leg muscles, his lower right leg was smashed and his right foot severely injured. His leg muscles swelled so much that surgeons had to cut open the tissue covering them to relieve pressure. And I just want to again encourage everybody to keep Tiger Woods and his family in prayer. It was amazing to me that the article basically summed him up that his golfing career is over. But I'm just going to be open and say, I believe a God that will heal. And I'm just believing God for his healing. So that's all about the current events. Now, stay to the end of the show. Do not leave. I need everybody to be engaged in the show because we're going to have a giveaway. And you have to stay to the end of the show to win. All right? So I need you to like, share, and stay engaged. Let's say it again. Like, share, and stay engaged for your chance to win. Now, this show is designed to give guests the platform where they can talk about who they are, what they do, and give the inside perspective of what they know. I'll say it again. They talk about who they are, what they do, and give the inside perspective of what they know. Just like tonight's guest. Tonight's guest is Antoinne D. Jones, and he is the owner of ADJ Media. He is a professional photographer who prides himself on giving people his best to bring the best out of them. His motto is he shoots to kill. Help me please give a warm welcome to tonight's guest, Mr. Antoinne Jones. Hey, Antoine.
Hello, how's it going, my good peoples?
How you doing?
I'm excited and thankful, so I appreciate you for having me tonight.
No, thank you for saying yes. I appreciate you. It's so funny. We've been in similar settings for a while. And I say all the time on the show that a lot of times people one dimensionally, right? Because if you meet them in a certain environment, that's all you know them as.
Right,
And every time I bring a guest on the show, it just never ceases to amaze me that I come up when I read the bio, I'm like, I've known you for how many years? I
right,
didn't
right.
know that. Just like you, just like you. So we're going to start the show by, first of all, let me ask this. How's your family?
Family is good, man. Everybody's safe. We had the northern folks. They had all their bouts with COVID in North in Ohio and in New York, but everybody has made it through. They're starting to get the vaccines more in the north than a little bit faster than we are in the south. So
Okay.
everybody is recuperated and healed, and nobody has passed away. Everybody's pretty straight right now. So thank God for that.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. I always have to start off by asking people about their families. So take time out to tell us about Antoinne D. Jones.
Well, Antoine Dwayne Jones, I am first and foremost, I'm a dad. I am almost at year 16 as a photographer. So
Wow.
my celebration roll was coming. So next month on the 27th, I'll turn 43, and then
Oh,
a week after that, on April 3rd, will be 16 years of photography, and
oh
then
wow.
April 29th is my frat anniversary, so I'll be 22 in Sigma as well. So,
Still a
it's
baby.
yeah, so it's that celebration, it's celebration time around Jones Estate, come March and April.
Yeah. And next month is my 12-year anniversary of this business. I have several, and this one reaches the milestone of 12 years. So we're going to celebrate together in March. How about that?
Right. Oh, for sure. Yes, ma'am.
So tell us where you're from and all of that. And
Well, originally I'm from Youngstown, Ohio. I migrated down to North Carolina. I started out at school at Johnson C. Smith University. Then I transferred to Fayetteville State. That's that whole Fort Bragg area. I
uh-huh.
was there for nearly 2 decades. A couple years in there, I moved to Myrtle Beach, to be a finance manager. That's what I did once I graduated college. I was a finance manager for a few years, moved back, and then I got into teaching marketing, high school level. Did that for almost 6 years, and all in between that, I had started my photography business and was doing that just about full time as well. So I was doing full time dad, full time teacher, full time coach, full time photographer, and about 7 years ago, I was like, it's just time to do what I need to do photography wise, that's it. So I haven't had a boss in in 7 years, and I
Oh
plan to keep
wow.
keep it like that.
Congratulations.
Appreciate you.
Now you mentioned you were a coach. What did you coach?
Well, when I was teaching high school, I coached JV girls volleyball, and I also coached JV basketball. So I did stints with the boys and the girls, but for the most part, I coached JV girls basketball and volleyball.
Okay. And how many kids do you have?
I have three total. The youngest one is 10.
Okay.
Uh, the middle one is 13, and then my freshman in college who's downstairs right now is 18. So everybody going to 19, 14, 11 this year. So we're like, wow, you just won't believe how fast you look up, you got a college kid,
Yep.
and especially me and my daughter it's been us,
Hmm.
for just about a decade, just us two, and then my sons come for holidays and summers. But for the most part,
Right.
I've been raising this female by myself for a while, so it's been an interesting journey over the last decade.
And where is she going to school?
She's at Georgia State, so
Okay.
I'm excited for her. And like I said, Corona did go on somewhere, so we can get this girl on campus. So that so daddy can do what he need to do as long as it's safe. We can get him on up out of here. Then have a little bit more flexibility to really just be able to do more and serve more, but also, oh shoot,
Uh-oh.
also you want to have some time to really just enjoy, you know, being. I haven't known as an adult what it is to be an empty nester, so I'm kind of interested to see how it is to just be able to freely navigate, and you don't got to worry about homework and this and that, and this
Yeah,
really move. You can work
yeah,
out as much as you want to, wherever you want to. So I'm excited about the next step in this journey. But as long as folks are safe, that's this COVID thing is just so unpredictable. I was like, we as much as you want to go on campus, I can't let you go right now. I
yeah.
it's just not safe for me.
Yeah, I understand. My daughter's at North Carolina A&T, and she's on campus, but she's confined. Basically, she's confined to her room. And
Right.
yeah, and but she's enjoying herself. She's met a lot of good people. She's met a lot of friends, and I just contact her often. She doesn't like it, but I
Yeah.
contact her
Still.
often to make sure you got your eye on her, on your daughter. But I have to keep the phone and the phone lines open on mine.
Absolutely. I totally get it, because again, they're still young adults, but
Yeah.
they're still young. So you want to make sure that in these crazy times that they're staying safe. So it's all we can do is we hope we did our best to
Yeah.
give them some sense and to
Yeah.
make sure that they understand it's their time to fly. But you just praying for them and checking in on them and making sure they're the best people they can be.
So what the career path is she? What degree path did she choose?
So I think she's gonna switch up a little bit, but she's majoring in film. And
Oh,
mine
okay,
was gonna be marketing, but she may switch over to a little psychology
okay,
minor. So yeah, I'm excited for her.
okay. And what did you major in? When you
I started in accounting, and I got to my senior year. I was like, I'm not a cubicle type dude, so I switched over to marketing and management. So I have like a dual degree. So I have
okay,
every accounting course except for two. So I technically, really have an accounting degree too, and then every management course and every marketing course. So my
okay,
my certification for teaching was dual because I can teach marketing or management.
okay. So why did you choose to pursue the career of photography?
Well, I mean, it started out as a nag. Actually, coming from the north into the south, it was like, oh my god, this is such a different place. It was so different. So I always had those little Walmart, those little click click.
Yeah.
I had a million. I was always clicking those and clicking those and clicking those, and then I transferred to Fayetteville State. My then girlfriend, who was my ex-wife, was a Zeta as well. And she was
Hmm.
like, "You always talk about taking pictures, and you don't ever take pictures anymore." And I was like, "Yeah, whatever." And then so I did a photo shoot with her, and she liked it. And I showed my mom. She was like, "Man, you." They both were like, "You really need to take this seriously." So that was my affirmation and my confirmation. So I went out and bought a $2,000 camera, and 16 years later, we're here. I've grown from not taking it seriously. It was something I really really liked and thought was cool to, this is how we eat and how we able to minister to other people.
Right, right. How many locations do you have?
Well, right now one, I'm still kind of having like a satellite office in North Carolina. Once that, my mentor and we had a studio for like a decade. Um,
Okay,
But since I'm not really traveling to North Carolina as much, we kind of pulled back on that. So I have my Atlanta area based studio here, and I just travel when I can to do whatever I need to do.
okay. I know that you title yourself as a professional photography and a photographer, and I know there's probably different classes of a photographer. Can you explain to us what a professional photographer does different than maybe just a regular photographer?
Well, I mean, it's really just preference at this point.
Okay.
Anybody can be a professional if they take to me. If you're taking it seriously and you're actively doing it to get better and to help others, then you're professional to me. As long as your work ethic and your accountability and your standards match that. We're in Atlanta, so that celebrity word, that's the word that gets thrown around a lot here.
Celebrity.
Celebrity photographer. People threw that on me because I was doing stuff for TV shows and I was doing magazine shoots. So I shot celebrities, but that's just a general word to me. Professional is, are you putting the best work forward?
Hmm.
And people will say, I appreciate the dude. He's taking it seriously. His name is unblemished. Even though you can't please everybody, but as far as name being unblemished, or that's that photographer that always try to talk to all them. That's not my name. So
Hmm.
I keep it what it is. I was married when I started photography, so my thought process is a little different about what I shoot and how I shoot. And then like I said, I've been raising a female, so I always take that into consideration too when I'm
Right.
taking
Right.
pictures or what I'm taking pictures of or how I'm taking them. It's always a thought process on, making sure that it's respectful.
Okay. So whose work has influenced you the most?
I mean, Derek Blanks has influenced me. My mentor, Gene Ho and George Joel, those two mentors, got me to where I was. I like Nigel Barker too. And again, I don't have any like relative comparisons. I just
Hmm.
think that's crazy to compare yourself to somebody else. Everybody has their own different style. So
Right.
I used to always look at professional magazines and say, that's what I want my work to be like. And
Hmm.
it's virtually impossible considering what they have compared to what regular professional photographers have. They're working with $100,000 sets and perfect people and all this stuff and 15 assistants, and I'm doing what I can, but it's always something to push myself towards when I can say, hey, this is what my goal is. So if you shoot for the stars, you'll hit the moon type thing. You'll all you gotta do is do your best, and people will respect that.
That's true. You mentioned earlier that you did some photo shoots for photographers, I mean, for celebrities
Mhm.
and magazines.
Right,
So can you tell us about a situation where, or how did that come about?
man. Just being really realistic, just being just persistent. When I was shooting for local magazines and regional magazines when I was in North Carolina. But
Okay.
when I started making the transition to know I was coming down here to Atlanta, I was coming here every quarter. I was emailing people, DMing people, inboxing people like, yo, I'm nice, I'm good, but you need to give me a shot. And this soror by the name of Selena Johnson, I was in her DM like once every month. Like, hey soror, I'm moving to Atlanta, give me a shot. And you can see the joint say red every once in a while, like, oh, they ain't say nothing. But hey soror, I'm ready I'm telling you I'm nice, just red, saying for it. That was like 6 months. And then finally one time she was like, yeah, cool. I'm gonna give you to my sister who's also a soror. We're gonna get this thing popping. So I got her to one of the magazines I was shooting with, Empire magazine, and that kind
Okay.
of started the trickle down effect of starting to work with celebrities. So, Selena Johnson and Cynthia Bailey, we did a shoot for Schuler King. When that whole name dropping joint it is what it is. But
Yeah.
Q from 112, we saw a lot of different people with Empire magazine, other magazines that
Mhm.
I was working with. So it was just a blessing. And then, my magazine, we led with Selena on the Greek magazine. So it was just a wonderful experience to be able to really dig in. And man, everybody's just, like I said, that celebrity word here, to
Mhm.
me, everybody put on their pants the same way. So
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the same amount of care and compassion and service and respect as a celebrity as is a regular old person. I want the regular people to feel like a celebrity when they shoot with me. So that's just my take on the whole, you know, how I treat people. I'm gonna treat everybody the same. You get what you get with me. I'm gonna give you 1,000%, and I want you to just be like, man, that was a great experience. I want to tell somebody else about it.
Well, it's amazing that you said that because I was on the phone with someone today. I might as well go ahead and bring this up. And I was on the phone with somebody today, and I told them, I said, you know, hopefully you can join us tonight on the show. And I said, because tonight's guest, I said, you probably don't know him. And I said, it's Antoine Jones, and he's in such and such chapter. And he said, oh, I know him. I'm going to be on. He said, he shot me and my family a couple of months ago. And
Oh,
I
he's
was
on my brother Irby,
Bo,
huh?
Bo Brax.
Oh, yeah, Bo too. Yeah, that's my dude too. Yeah, we had a great shoot, man. Him and his wife are amazing.
Yeah,
Uh, and he's always doing something, and he's always trying to promote Sigma. So that's a good dude. That's a real good
yeah.
dude, and
He,
and an officer of the law too. So we gotta give him respect on that to being a officer of the law at this time and black. People try to
yeah.
give you a hard time or whatever, but he doing what he's supposed to do. So that's great.
That's right. That's right. And yeah, he spoke highly of you today. And I booked him for a show, so he's going to be a guest in the upcoming show. I can't wait to get
Yeah,
him on.
yeah,
But
he's
yeah, yeah. So you mentioned also about your Greek magazine. So tell us a little bit about that.
well. I mean, it's such a complex yet simple thing for me as a Sigma, you know, being that I started shooting uh, celebrities and really got into the Atlanta area, realized, wow, it's like 200 plus chapters of fraternities and sororities in
Yeah.
this area, and it only makes sense to me to really just start really focusing on these people, because most of them are they're college educated, a lot of affluent, so a lot of
Mhm.
people don't know that your favorite doctor, your favorite lawyer, your favorite teacher, your favorite preacher, these people are in Black Greek letter organizations. And
Mhm.
what better way to start showcasing that than putting together like an Essence style magazine,
Okay.
strictly focusing on and highlighting members of these organizations. So we that's what we did. So we took a little hiatus, because of COVID, because it was just impossible to
Right.
get the content that I wanted at the time. But everything's already in the back end. We're just kind of waiting for this thing to settle down so we can kind of get back to what we were doing. Just saying, hey, this is Essence magazine, just for fraternities and sororities. These are the people we want to focus on, because people just don't see these people. Like they see Dr. Johnson. They don't see Dr. Johnson, Delta Sigma Theta. So
Right.
they don't know that. They don't know Coach Johnson, Coach Jones, your favorite math teacher, is alpha. So we want to be able to, and all these people, these judges and these
Mhm.
politicians and these civic leaders, all those people are in these organizations. It's just time to kind of shed a light on that and just do it in my way. You know,
Right.
like the lights, camera, action, the photography, and articles. That was just something I just had to do.
Well, when you bring it back, you please let us know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we want to make sure that we support you. You mentioned that you're a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. Can you speak a little bit about your journey to Sigma?
Oh man, I didn't really know much about Greek life as it was how it encompassed Black people. I went to a predominantly white school from pre-K to 12th grade,
Oh wow.
and then went straight to an HBCU. So it was
Oh,
like,
you was in culture shock.
well, it's like a different world. I mean, like, it was the show, and really a different world to me, because I had never been around where Black people were the majority. Every class, every party, every
Mhm.
time you went to the student center, every time you went to, in the neighborhood, went to somebody's house, it's like, this is all Black people. I mean, I can count on my two hands how many people I went to school with Black. Like, my graduating class, it was only like 8 of us. Like,
Really?
so to go, and it was in the north, so it went from north all white to south all Black. So I started getting into the whole learning about fraternity life, and I didn't know anything about Phi Beta Sigma. I mean, I knew about Kappa and Alpha for the most
Right.
part. That was it. So then I got
Mhm.
to Johnson C. Smith. I'm like, oh, the Sigmas is pretty cool. So I was still kind of up in the air, because I felt that I could fit into any one of those
Mhm.
Greek life organizations. Then I transferred to Fayetteville State, and that just sealed the deal for me. Man, there was Sigmas everywhere. It was SGA, there was in the student center, there was in the clubs. It was like 26 bros on the on the yard
Oh
when I crossed.
wow.
So they were literally everywhere. It was like, man, but they were just like me. They, just silly. But they still were about their business. They still were,
Mhm.
doing everything they needed to do. So that sealed it up for me. I went to the interest meeting, and that was it. Nobody knew nothing about me. I just transferred, so I technically
Right.
shouldn't even I shouldn't even have been able to pledge when I pledged. I just kind of slipped through the cracks because I transferred. I was there a semester and I pledged the next semester. So I really wasn't supposed to be able to pledge until a year from that point. But cool. I'm still a legend, number 10. I'm still the only number 10 to come through the chapter.
Oh wow.
Feeling, but yeah, I love single letter chapter. It was great. The experience was amazing. I love it. I mean, I love it. So I'm like I said, I got a college freshman trying to push her towards Greek life since she didn't choose HBCU, which is cool, because of her major. So you
Mhm.
might want to check out Greek life. And I'm not pushing you um, to be any specific organization. The gift given will be way, way over the top if you go Zeta, but I'm still gonna love you no matter what. I'm just saying that your dad has a Greek magazine, your dad's a Sigma, your aunt's a Zeta. Like, it would be a little bit lovelier, for you to become a Zeta, but I still gonna love you anyway. I just want you to experience what I experienced, and have an understanding, a real understanding of what Black Greek letter organizations mean to the community, as a whole.
Yeah, and I think it's the brotherhood and the sisterhood aspect, and the resourcefulness of the organization.
Right.
I tell people all the time, if you are a financial member and you pay all this money and you go to these events and you go to all these conferences, and you at the end of the year you only know the same people,
What are you doing?
what was your investment for, right? And that's the I think that's the gem in being a part of any organization. I know some people who are part of the 100 Black Men,
Mm-hmm.
and different women organizations, and they agree with me on that too. It's all about the gem is in the people,
Right.
right? And people need to remember that it's the people. And so people tell me, well, a lot of people. Well, I should with what I do,
Right.
but other than that, I do. I know a lot of people, but I remember names and babies and wives, anniversaries, and it's just the people. Because let me tell you this right quick. I've had several instances where I've had to do an SOS. And when I tell you, I didn't have to look far. I didn't have to call somebody to get me somebody. I spent those years building those relationships.
Relationships. Right.
And when I needed them, they were there.
Right.
So if anybody is thinking about becoming, because I've had the same conversation with my daughter, right? Your choice is really yours, because I don't want to force you to be something.
Right.
Just because, no, you got to live with this. So you choose, even if you choose not to. But even at her school that she's at, the gym is in the people.
Right.
Right. So don't just stay in your room. You got to meet people somehow, some way. So, we'll leave that at that. But yeah, but like you said, the gym is in the people, and your experience is good based on how you engaged to the organization and the people that you met.
And this to stick it home is you're going to be surrounded by people who understand that the world is bigger than itself.
Right.
Like, so it's like, man, what can we do? What can we do to better others?
Right.
And that's really what this took me. I don't care what it is. Canned food drive, going to speak at school, doing mentorship programs, helping out the elderly, like whatever you can. But if we can't help somebody else, then what are we doing? It's just
That's
so
true.
much easier to do it collectively.
That's right.
And I mean, I enjoy it. People say, "Well, are you joining a fraternity and sorority? You can do that with another organization. You can." I mean, I'm not knocking you for that. I just feel that the brotherhood and sisterhood that I've gained, on top of the fact that we've mounted up to help people, has been just a blessing beyond measure to me.
Yeah. Again, that's the gym. Okay, so tell us this, Mr. Photographer.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
what type of camera do you shoot with, and why?
So I'm a Nikon man. Just because my foundation is in fashion photography, I found that the colors and the vividness, and then the equipment that Nikon has been my style. And I thought about changing. I actually started with Sony when it first came out. When they first went digital, that was my first camera. I switched to Nikon because Sony at that point didn't have all the accessories and stuff that Nikon or Canon didn't have. So I ultimately went with Nikon after my research, and I've been with Nikon for 13 and a half of the 16 years. And then I just went to mirrorless, which is a whole nother realm. So now this is electronics, and electronics change. Anything electronically based is going to change, just like cars change or the weather changes. So you're always learning. You're in a business that's going to always change. So I'm always learning and changing and trying to figure out the best way. And I'm a techie. I'm a dude, so I'm always in the little gadgets and stuff. I'm always trying to stay ahead of the tech curve, because technology is always changing. If you ever get behind, if you get behind that curve, then that's when you start becoming irrelevant. So I'm always trying to stay ahead of the curve. I'm getting older. I've been at this forever, and I'm approaching in 2 decades. So I'm always trying to make sure I stay useful and I stay current, in everything I do.
Yeah, and like you said, technology is changing daily.
All right, boom.
Yeah. So I did a little research, and there are a lot of different lenses.
Right.
So, what is your favorite lens and why?
Uh, the 70, the 200, 2.8 is my favorite lens because it's crisp and I don't necessarily need to be right, especially with COVID now. Like that's a lens where you could be 5 feet away from somebody or be 30 feet away from somebody. You can still get the same product.
Oh,
So I
wow.
love that one because of the crispness and the fact that you don't necessarily have to be up on somebody, and that's like my go-to.
Hmm. Okay. So, what type of tools do you use for post processing? Now, I know back in the day they had the bucket in the dark room
Oh man, that was great.
and,
You know,
and the clips on the
right,
line.
right, right,
I
right,
know
right, right.
it's changed. So, how do you process in 2021?
Yeah, that was like high school, dark room. You being there for an hour, all them chemicals, getting cancer and everything. They didn't even know everything was crazy back then. Everything, all those chemicals that people was locked up in those rooms with, man. But it was great. That was probably the most exciting part. Is you had to get it right back then.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
that separated the real from the fake. When you got to use all the techniques you possibly can, every matter of brain that you needed to get that shot. Now, even though you still need to be good, so that's the difference between we go back to the professional and the
Right.
amateur or beginner or hobbyist is anybody can get the shot now. People can get the shot with their phone.
Yeah.
People can get shots with cameras, but it's how you get it in the the amount of time that you do get the shot now. It
Hmm.
doesn't take me it doesn't take me 500 to 1,000 pictures in a photo shoot to get the shot.
Okay.
Now, we can get the shot or we get multiple shots in 100,
Hmm.
150. I'm not just snap, snap, snap and praying I get a good shot. Now I know what I'm doing because
Okay.
I've been doing it so long. So now, just like a chef,
Hmm.
you know, not only do we not need a recipe after a while because you know the recipe, you breathe the recipe, you added your little extra pizzazz to it to make that recipe your own. So now you don't need to look at a recipe and that recipe is your own. So you cook it up and stir it up and you know how to simmer and everything. That's the difference between a hobbyist or amateur photographer and a
Okay.
professional is the amount of time it takes, knowing your angle, knowing what people are different. So what makes a woman look good versus a man? What makes somebody slimmer look good is
Hmm.
somebody that has weight on them. Somebody is black versus somebody is white. All those things that are going on in a person's head from their experience kind of differentiates themselves between amateur and professional.
Yeah. The attention to detail. So,
Yeah.
I'm sure that you have a lot of gadgets. Is
Yeah.
there Was there ever a gadget that you purchased that you just wish you wouldn't have ever spent the money on?
No, because like I said, I'm a junkie, so I mean, I can't really think of any gadgets. I was like, yeah, I can't believe I bought that because I've used all of them. Some of the streaming softwares were kind of hard to use, and those have changed over the years. But that's about it. That was the only one. I think I had LiveWire or something, and that was really hard to get the stream and not to stream and buffer it and all that stuff. But as far as equipment, no, I did my homework, on
Okay.
all those. So it was just a matter of getting them and learning them by the time because again, in there's nothing in the world of technology that's cheap.
Yeah.
So you spending $200 to $3,000 no matter what you buy in this business. It doesn't matter if it's this big or you need three people to carry it. It's at least $200, and probably the top end is 4,000 or something like that. So those things that you really take time to evaluate, check out, ask your colleagues, is this the right device or
Mhm,
how can I use that, and then you buy it. So I
mhm.
haven't had any bad photography purchases because it's not a whim with this type of stuff.
Yeah, you did your research and due diligence before you made the
Man,
purchase.
yeah, man. Then you spending your hard-earned money. You got to make sure, just like buying a car, you're not just gonna jump in a car and just buy it. You're gonna test drive. You're gonna check it out. You're gonna research it. You Google it, CarMax, Carfax, all that stuff before you just jump in and give your money to it.
Right. So tell us, what services does ADJ Media offer?
Man, we're a full-service photography company. So there's pretty much no genre that we don't do.
Okay.
A little more racy stuff, we kind of leave that to other photographers. Nothing against it. It's just something I just never really got into on a grand scale. I mean, I
Hmm.
lived in the military town, so we did some boudoir stuff for women I want to send stuff to their husbands over Afghanistan. Okay, that's some sensual, but I've never really done anything, on the mass scale that was over sexualized. But fashion is my wheelhouse. So everything that I do has a fashion base to it.
Okay.
Wedding. I spent years working with the CIAA. So I've done sports photography and sports journalism for years. And that's what I've really been focusing on the last, since COVID really hit. That was really what my focus point was going into was youth sports. So youth sports portraiture is what we've really been focused on this last year and moving forward for the next 3 years. Because I got about 3.5 more years, and I'm a at least semi-retire.
Okay.
From photography and move into some other stuff.
All right, but that's still going to be your heart.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm never going to be able to fully put it away, but doing it as an everyday hustle. Yeah. Nah, I'm going to be inching closer to 50. I want to go ahead and switch over to culinary and still use my artism, but just use that in food.
Okay, so you like to cook?
Oh yeah, man. But I can't say I had to as a single dad, but I mean, I've always been kind of I love food, so I've always kind of dabbled a little bit. But now, eventually, get that full. I don't know if I'm going to do this cordon bleu or full culinary school, but I mean, I know enough people that I can do some apprenticeships here and there, and really get to the foundations of what I want to do from that angle.
Now, see, that was something that wasn't in your bio.
Oh yeah, I'm a single. I'm gonna eat now, but that's for sure. So we're gonna eat. And we gotta make sure that we can cook it up and be a little advantageous. Because I can imagine not being able to cook the last decade. That would have been such a struggle. But
yeah, not with a daughter.
Oh man, with kids. Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a child period.
But then down in Atlanta, you be cooking. I mean, you be broke trying to eat out every day.
Yeah.
But yeah. So and not healthy either. So I want to be healthy. I want to be able. You're gonna spend $20. We're gonna be able to eat for a while, not eat for a half a meal. That's me. We got to be. I want to eat.
So what's your favorite dish that you like to cook?
Favorite dish. I mean, stuffed cabbage, stuffed peppers is a good one. I do. I love Italian food, so and that's a quick meal. So you can always throw something together, with pasta and be ready to eat in 20 minutes or so. But now it's like me and my daughter, we finally got all these air fryers. So now we're realizing that you can cook 20 times faster and it'd be just as flavorful and a little bit healthier with the air fryer. So we air fryer and Instant Pot. We really been getting down on trying to figure out new stuff to cook and how fast. Like you're talking about something that would normally take an hour and a half to cook, cooking like 28 minutes in the air fryer. It's crazy. So we really been getting that, and it's healthy, it's juicy, it's amazing, man.
Yeah, I have a New Wave, and the Circle New Wave. New Wave has a lot of different products, and my kids bought it for me, and I cooked a fillet of salmon today, and I think it was 12 minutes, and the juice was just popping out of it.
Right, like I mean, you won't believe that. I
was like, oh my goodness!
We can literally say, man, in 30 minutes from the time you walk into the kitchen to the time you put that fork to your mouth, it's gonna be 30 minutes for the most part with any meal in the air fryer at the most.
Yeah,
can't beat that at all.
Yeah, one of our 2 shows ago, we had a wellness coach, Cynthia Florence, on, and she's on the show tonight. I've already seen her, so I know we're making her so happy that we're eating healthy. So I'm sure she's gonna comment on that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, what is your favorite subject to photograph?
People. I'm a people person. I want to see people smile, happy. I want to capture those moments where milestones, honeymoons, engagements, people turn 40 or 20 or 18 or 16, like those moments where you can just be a part of their life forever and then continue that building. We did the baby we did the maternity pictures, and then we did the wedding, then we did the maternity picture, then we did the newborn picture, then we did the baby's first birthday, then the 5th birthday, and then it goes on and on. All their family milestones, they're calling you, and then they're telling their friends. So it's like you're hitting milestones with people. Their first book, their first whatever, their first business. They need headshots for that. It's just amazing. Especially when COVID hit, when the world finally started opening back up a little bit, people realized that we've been telling in the book, we've been telling people, hey man, I don't care what you do, you still need to find something that you love to do and get paid to do it. Because guess what? This ain't like the 80s and the 50s where you're gonna work for your employer for 20, 30 years and you're gonna retire, you're gonna get your pension and all that, man. People
Right.
jobs are changing like that and going overseas, and employers that ain't never been that faithful anyway, but now it's just worse. So, to be able to do something you love to do every day is what I recommend. So get you a couple streams of income. I don't know about seven. I think people that are really in the entrepreneurship, seven is like an understatement. Like I got my hand in a whole bunch of stuff.
I know. I
Related,
know.
it be related to photography, not related to photography, stuff I'm trying
Yeah.
to do. But
Yeah.
you need to, if you're working a job, you also need to be getting paid to do something that you love.
That's right.
And once you do that, once you fall into that, then boom, it'll never feel like work. Uh, and that's just how I feel about it. But again, because if that falls apart, I probably should have left teaching 4 years before I did. Because I had the family and I was worried about all this and all that, and that's what kept me from leaving my job when I before I did to go into entrepreneurship full time. But I mean, gotta make you gotta close the door or he'll open the door, but he gonna get you to doing what you're supposed to be doing either
Yeah.
way. I
Yeah.
was like,
Kicking and screaming.
I was like, man, then I was like I said, I was working full time as a photographer anyway. Then I'm at my job as a teacher, and I'm getting in trouble for being a photographer at my job teaching. I'm like, oh, man, look. So that's why people call me Dwayne, because I had to stop. I had to stop using Antoine in photography and use Antoine at work and Dwayne in photography. So I wouldn't.
Okay.
So I would know when they were trying to pick on me about. Oh, I was like, man, nobody call me Antoine as a photographer. They call me Dwayne. So whatever you're trying to say here, but it just got to a point where it was like it was almost no option. I either had to choose photography or choose teaching, and I started looking at the paychecks like, I love the kids, but nah, I gotta take care of mine too. Like really. So it wasn't that hard of a decision when it came down to it.
So listen, you mentioned what we're going to end on, and it's the book.
Right.
Everybody, Antoine Jones is the author of The Down Entrepreneur, a blueprint to business rejuvenation. Now, Antoine, let me tell you, I read the book from cover to cover. And, when I get books, I can't, I don't know, it's something about it. I can't loan them out. So if somebody likes a book, I'll just buy it for them, because if I marked in it and everything. So what inspired you? First of all, let me just say this. Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
It is an easy read. It is filled with nuggets. When I tell you filled, the one thing I like that you did is you were in and out, in and out. But even though the content on the page is not that much, it's loaded with
Right.
nuggets.
Right.
So tell us what inspired you to write the book.
Well, realistically, it was, so that was really almost a year and a half ago. So you to figure I'm about 14, almost 15 years in being an entrepreneur. And it was like, man, everybody got information, but it was like, is there information out there that's for people that either want to start a business and don't really know how, or don't know what they need to know,
Right.
or there are people that are in business that are they're kind of stagnant. They just need like a little bump. So I call it down entrepreneur. To me, it's like the what those little yellow and black books, the business book for dummies, or that book that they had. It's simple.
Yes.
But I realized in all these years of business, and then like I said, my background's in marketing.
Right.
So I realized that there are so many people that are great at what they do. They're great barbers, they're great photographers, they're great speakers, they're great chefs, but they didn't go to school for business. They didn't go to, so they don't really have that information, and they don't really know what they don't know. They don't know what they're missing because they're good at what they do, and they love what they're doing, but a lot of them fail because they just didn't have that business background. So I was
Right.
like, well, let me put together a guide. Unlike some people who read the whole book in like a day, you know, just a
No,
just
no,
a
I promise you that. Listen, let me say this. Let me clear it up. It is a 31-day journey. So
right.
you're supposed to do a activation point a day. Now
Right.
I had to read it so I can talk about it.
Right. Yeah, we don't want you to lie. We don't
And
want you to lie about it.
I'm going back, and I'm gonna take the journey. I'm gonna let you
Right.
take the journey with me through the book, and I'm sure I'm going to be calling you one on one to talk about some of this on the book. Now,
Yeah.
now let's talk about activation activation point number one. Get up. Let's
Yeah.
talk about that.
Yeah. Man, I think that's the hardest one to do
Yeah.
for me than anyone, especially like it's again, especially if you don't have a boss. Like if
Mhm.
you're the boss, one of the hardest things to do, especially when things are stagnant, especially things will get hard, especially when things just aren't going your way. The hardest thing to do is to get up and do it again tomorrow. You're like that's one of the hardest things to do. But so once you realize that, once you get that in your brain, like, man, if I just get up and start my day,
Yeah.
I've done better or I've done more than I could possibly do to help myself just by getting up. Because
Yeah.
now you up, okay, now you ain't got nothing else to do. It's time to do something productive and start at least thinking about how you can, better this journey, better this business, or this entrepreneur journey. Is you got up. Not just you got up, it's time to really, really start putting in some work. And once you get up, you start feeling better, just
It's true.
because man, I have some times where, man, I'm laying in bed 2-3
That's
days, it's pitiful. How does where's the next photo shoot coming from, or how am I gonna feed these kids and all that? Man, everybody's had those moments in the entrepreneurial journey that he just didn't want to move. Even that people with regular jobs, these days he's like, man, I'm about to call in sick. You ain't even sick. You just like, I want to call in and lay in the bed all day because I don't feel like doing anything. When realistically, once you get up out of bed, get a shower, get a little food or something like that, your whole energy changes at least a little bit, and then you start going on. Okay, now let me figure out what I need to do for my next steps. So that's number one. And again, and to put a little perspective on this book, you can start this book anywhere you want to start. It doesn't matter where you started at. You can start on activation point 20. You can start on 10. You can start on 1. You can start 30 and go backwards, forward, jump around, whatever you want to do. It's still going to lead you to the same information, and you're going to get whatever you were supposed to get out of it. No matter what. So, but just do one a day. Marinate on it.
yeah.
Write your little notes down in the space. Think about it. Share it with your neighbor. Like they used to do in church. Touch and agree, because it is some information that I feel that if I would have known, or if I knew some other business, they would have known that they would be much further along in their understanding of how business works, and some of the stuff you don't think about that are so simple. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you know, uh, speaking life. Affirmations. You got to
Yeah.
speak life. Because you get into that funk, man. I'm terrible. I'm a bad photographer. You might get a customer that's just not happy. And like I said, you can't please everybody, but you get down on yourself, so you start talking about it. Man, I suck. I'm doing this instead of speaking. I'm a good photographer. I'm a great father. Life is great. My next booking is coming. Those type of things you need to speak into your own self, so that you're motivated, your energy is right, your perspective is right, your thought life and prayer life is right, so you can start moving on and moving forward. Because again, it hasn't always been easy for me, but we still here.
All right, let's talk about activation point number 5. Curse a tree.
Oh yeah, man. You gotta have. There's gonna be some days. There's gonna be some days where you 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 can't always say what you feel to the people you want to say them to. I have plenty of experiences where I want to, get them, with the words. Like I said, I'm from the Midwest, and it took a lot when I moved down here to learn tact, to learn the southern hospitality. I didn't have that. We spoke with we spoke the way we wanted to speak in Ohio. It was like, hey, whatever, that shirt ugly, okay, cool. You ain't buy it, all right, whatever, cool. And nobody was mad about that. You say that down south, you done lost a whole friend. So being being able to to really have that understanding makes a difference. And you'll grow, you'll grow on that one.
Okay, I can't. I was trying to find it right quick, but I know you know where it is.
Right.
Uh, please talk about. 'Cause we got 2 more minutes before the end of the show. Talk about the part. I cannot find it right quick.
Are
But
you best friend?
the toilet paper, the toilet tissue,
Uh-huh.
and writing it on the toilet tissue and then flushing it.
Right. I mean, but that's the same thing. I mean, toilet paper, write it down, ball it up, throw it away. Some people, I did this in the mountain. Did this in the mountains not too long ago, where you have all these negative points or things that you just need to let go. So
Yes.
you write it down and burn it or throw it away. But again, that goes back into speaking it. I release this burden. I release feeling insecure. I release feeling uh unfit or not up to par. Man, write that thing down, burn it, throw it away, flush it down the toilet, whatever you need to do to have that understanding or that transition in your mind that you're better than what you're giving yourself credit for. That's what you need to do.
If you have any questions for Antoine, please put them in comments. We have around 9 minutes left. Let me tell you, when I got to the toilet paper, I had to really stop because I was like, this is very unique and it's something easy that everybody can do. We sometimes, depending on what the situation is, like you say, you have to watch your words. And you're going through a situation. Sometimes bad stuff, negative stuff comes out. And I like how you say that. Look, get a square of toilet paper and write that down. Write down the things that you're trying to release, right? And write them all down and flush it. And when you flush it and it's gone, let it go. I remember you even said, look, if you got to use 4 squares, but get it out. Now, I'm not gonna tell people they need to burn it, because some people just
Some people take stuff too far. But I mean, it feel good though. It feel good either way. When you light that thing up or whatever you want to do, or you. I mean, some people did balloons. You get you put it to a balloon and just let it go in the atmosphere. Man, that too. I mean, but just the sentimental part of
right.
your brain seeing you letting go, because that's sometimes, man. I mean, this is usually our strongest problem. Everything that we have like trapped in our brains that we just not letting go, or we're more damaging to ourselves than anybody else. But once you start getting to that point, and again, I have to go back and do what I say too.
Mm-hmm.
And people will hold me to that. I'd be like, man, how you tripping about that? That's in your book. Okay, you're right. Like, okay, I got you. But but if you accountable to people, again, you got an accountability partner or people in your life that won't sugarcoat stuff for you. That, I mean, that's not being the smartest person in the room, type thing. We say, what type of camera would you recommend for a new photographer on a budget? And what tips would you offer an upcoming photographer on perfecting their craft?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm a Nikon dude, so any kind of like 5500 series or 7100 series is good. Uh, that's the start, because the cost. I mean, the cost is in the cameras, but the majority of the cost is in the lenses. That's where all the really heavy costs come from. But if you're just starting, I mean, almost all cameras have photo and video. I never really got into video because it's just I wanted to be honed in on what I love to do, and then from there, I mean, when I first started photography, I was driving down the street going to work, and I see an abandoned building, and I pumping the brake like it's Dukes of Hazzard, and jump out of the car and start taking pictures of that stuff. I mean, you'll find the more that you do, the more that you click that button, you'll find out what's appealing to you. Right. Some people like taking pictures of birds and bees and plants and stuff. Some people like people. Some people like cars and products.
Animals.
Right. So once you figure out what you like to do, then that's when you need to, focus in on that. And I won't say perfect that, but spend the majority of your time trying to be the best at one particular area. Like I was all in on fashion photography. I was around the models and the fashion shows and all that stuff and everything. So lighting, techniques, angles, like I learned everything I possibly could for that particular genre before I really started getting into all the other stuff, weddings and all that stuff, you know. But again, even with that, I still shot that in the fashion photographer eye. So
Right.
I get booked for that, you know, because that's how I shoot. And
Right.
once you find your style, you perfect your style, nobody else's style. Don't worry about nobody else. You worry about being the best you can be, and people are gonna like it or they're not. But you don't have to ever change who you are to try to fit somebody else. What people gonna find you because they found your style and your style matched what they wanted, and then you go with that. You don't have to. I jump in and out of styles, but again, I've been doing this forever. But
Right.
people still hire you based on your style, the way you treat people, and you know the way you give people the stuff that they wanted back to them.
Right. Right. Okay. So I want you to take 60 seconds because I want to talk about this one more activation point. Okay.
Okay.
You only have 60 seconds. Activation point 17. Be mindful of dream killers. 60
Right.
seconds.
Well, I mean, that could be inside and outside, but again, you have to surround yourself mentally in your own head and physically around things that are going to do you the most good. And they're going to, and I'm not saying the most good is always pat you on the back. So if you're around somebody that's always, man, the world coming to an end, man, this and that, man, blah, 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 man, you need to
Yeah.
not be around them like that. If you're always talking like that, you need to get that out your brain and stop being the one because I was a Debbie, you know, what they said, Debbie Downer. I was like that for a while because I'm a single dad and this and that, and I don't got no money, and nobody gonna want to make me, you know, I ain't gonna get no wife, and you know, I was just killing myself. Like, but I focus in on, okay, what can I do? What can I do to make myself better? And how, so I focus in on this being the best photographer I could possibly be, getting to where I need to be, doing the things I need to do. And that is what made me start to level up. And then people start noticing that. And then somebody starts telling somebody else about it. So
Right.
you got to make sure that one, you're not killing your own dream. And two, you're not
Right.
around people that are killing, not support your dream and killing it externally as well.
Yeah. You are what you speak.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
You have a question. Is black and white or color the easiest to get the great shot, or does it matter anymore?
Uh, Easiest from a technical standpoint, black and white is the easiest to get a great shot because you can hide more errors in black and white photography.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's certain stuff you can't hide with color. You can hide a little bit more with black and white. But at this day and age, with the speed of technology is advancing, it doesn't matter. I'm saying it's easier to hide errors with black and white.
Okay. Well, at the beginning of the show, Antoine, I told everybody that we were going to have a giveaway and they needed to like and share the broadcast and be very engaged in our discussion this evening. Well, we have a winner. So our winner for, and I want to thank everybody for really tuning in and listening and getting the inside perspective of Antoine Jones of ADJ Media. Um, and our winner, and oh, what do you win? Okay, well, you're going to win a copy of Antoine's book, The Down Entrepreneur. And our winner is Sharika. Your last name on Facebook is A True Lady. Sharika, you
Hey.
are the winner of the book. I am us. I'm trying to learn all these acronyms, but put a private message or I am us, your name, address, and phone number, and we will get Dwayne or Antoine to send you a copy of the book. Now, Antoine, you feel a little good about
Yeah, man, I'm
giving away
excited.
something else?
Yeah, I think so. I think we need to go ahead and do something else for the people.
How about another giveaway?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, we're going to pick somebody else to get a copy of his book. And the winner is, because you're supposed to like, share, and be actively engaged in today's interview. So the second winner is going to be Trey Johnson. Trey, you have won a copy of Antoine's book, The Down Entrepreneur. Antoine, I thank you so much for saying yes and being on the show. You know people one-dimensionally, but you and I really have a lot in common. So we really need to stay in contact. We both got freshmen in college. We both like to eat. We're both on the healthy road. So let's stay in contact more. I really appreciate you. You've been awesome.
Man, I appreciate you. Yeah,
and
this
I
has
wish
been great.
you all the success. If I can do anything for you with custom branding, please do not hesitate
Absolutely
to reach out. I want to tell everybody, and you too, while you're still in the show, we're getting ready to end, but I want to tell everybody that the month of March is our 12-year anniversary.
Ooh.
And you are in for a treat. The lineup for March is phenomenal. So like, share, and also we have a YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and make sure you are here with us in March. I thank you so much for tuning in for tonight. And I am Tina Dawson, your host of True Blue Designs Presents The Inside Perspective. And I want to say good night. Stay on, Antoine. Don't go nowhere. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Wow.